Standard 5th, and subject of the day is Social Studies. My dear students, today we are going to start the 7th chapter of our syllabus, which deals with history. Okay, and its title is Gandhiji Leads the Nation. So, in this topic we are going to study about Gandhiji. What a vital role he has played in getting us the independence. Also, how did he lead the nation without any of the violent methods? So let's see. So first of all, we will go through the objectives behind studying this chapter. Why are we going to study this chapter? See, the first motto is to reflect upon the changes in the freedom struggle after the advent of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian political scene. मीन्स गांधी जी के एंट्रेंस से जब वो इंडिया में रिटर्न आया तो उसके बाद पॉलिटिकल सीन क्या बना, क्या क्या चेंजेस आए. देन टू लर्न अबाउट हिज व्यूज ऑन कास्ट सिस्टम एंड अनटचेबल्स और हेरिटेज. वी हैड ऑलरेडी स्टडीड ट्वाइस, मतलब दो चैप्टर्स में हमने पढ़ा हुआ है. गांधी जी ने अनटचेबिलिटी रिमूव की थी सोसाइटी से. ही यूज्ड टू कॉल द अनटचेबल्स एज द हेरिटेज, which mean the people of God. Third one is to understand Gandhi's doctrine of Satyagraha based on truth and non-violence. गांधी जी का जो मेथड था सत्याग्रह वाला वो समझना है हमें इस चैप्टर में. सत्याग्रह means truth and non-violence. Okay. Then to understand the noted events against Gandhi, which Gandhi started mass education. ऐसे कौन-कौन से इवेंट्स हुए थे, कौन-कौन से इंसिडेंट्स हुए थे गांधी जी ने जिनका अगेंस्ट थे, उनके अगेंस्ट उन्होंने जो भी मास एजुकेशन किए थे वो. To understand the noted events against which Gandhi started mass education, and then to analyze the impact of important movements. जो गांधी जी ने मूवमेंट्स किए थे उनकी क्या इंपॉर्टेंस थे, उनकी क्या सिग्निफिकेंस थे. ओके, which movements were these? Those non-cooperation movements, civil disobedience as well as the quitting movement. And to recognize his contribution in making India a free nation, means independent. उसमें गांधी का क्या रोल था, क्या contribution थे, that we are going to understand in this chapter. So let's move ahead. So first of all we will study about Mahatma Gandhi. As we know, he was born on October 2nd, 1869 in Gujarat, where in Porbandar. He was assassinated on January 38, 1948. He came back to India in 1915. 1915 को इंडिया बैक आए थे. आपको पता था वो अपनी स्टडीज करने कहाँ गए थे. उसके बाद वो साउथ अफ्रीका गए थे अपना करियर स्टार्ट करने के लिए. There he helped those people getting the independence, and then here returned back to India. He practiced and preached what? The path of Satyagraha, that is the non-violence and truth. He led the movement for India struggles. इंडिया के इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए लोग जितना स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे, he led all the movements. Many of the movements were led by him. Also, he fought for the rights of poor and untouchables. As we have already discussed, जो poor थे, गरीब, और जो untouchables जिनको कंसिडर किया जाता था, उनके साथ बहुत ही गलत व्यवहार किया जाता था, he fought for their rights. Okay, now let's see what he has done for the nation. So these were the movements. You know what, students, when he returned to India, first of all he traveled India. He traveled whole country to see the condition of the people, and he noticed that condition of the people were very worse. It was too worse. Why? Because India was under the control of the British rulers. ओके, अब ब्रिटिश रूलर के अंडर में थे तो इंडियंस वर कंसीडर्ड एज द स्लेव्स। आपको पता है हर जगह वो लोग गलत गलत लॉज बना रहे थे। इंडिया वर बिकमिंग पुअर एंड पुअर एंड पुअर डे बाय डे। Before it was not poor, it was called as सोने की चिड़िया, the golden bird. Why? Because India was the richest country. Okay, India spices में, then fabric में बहुत ट्रेड करते थे, बहुत सारा। इतना कमाता था कि इंडिया was the richest country of all. Then Europeans entered the country और उसके बाद British ruling start हुआ. That we have already understood in the chapter number 5 and 6. Now, what Gandhi did, he came to India and he traveled whole country. He observed that it was too bad condition. The situation was getting worse and worse day by day. So what he did, first of all, उन्होंने कहा कि we India will have to fight unitedly. For this, they have made it possible for the Harijans to fight for this. इंडिया में उस टाइम पे अनटचेबिलिटी थी। That's why Indian society was considered as backward society. Okay, इसलिए उन्होंने क्या किया, जितने भी अनटचेबल्स थे, he started calling them as regions. उन्होंने नॉर्मल पीपल को ये यकीन दिलाया that those are the people of the God. इसलिए उन्हें हरिजन कहना चाहिए, ना कि अनटचेबल। अनटचेबल को हिंदी में कहा जाता है अछूत। Okay. So this way every people were considering themselves as equal, okay, and then they will fight for the nation. Now what happens here? First of all, Rowlatt Act was introduced. As per this act, any of the Indian could be arrested without any trial. So Gandhi made the people realize that they should oppose this. For this, they had started the movement, okay, the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so Rowlatt Act क्या था? It was passed in March 1919. As per the act, the British could imprison any person suspected of terrorism without a trial. कुछ भी जांच पड़ताल किए बिना अगर किसी के ऊपर उनको डाउट है that he is a terrorist या टेररिज्म वाले किसी भी चीज में वो इन्वॉल्व है तो वो उनको अरेस्ट कर लेंगे। Then what happened? इसके अपोजिशन में just because of opposing this thing, Wallabagh Massacre happened. Now what happened? See, there was the movement against this Rowlatt Act. Okay, so whole country was involved in this. So once there was a meeting in Wallabagh on 13th April 1919. Let's see what happened there. On 13th April 1919 in Wallabagh, General Dyer ordered his men, who were his men, the British soldiers, to open fire into a crowd of unarmed Indian citizens. Unarmed means there was no army for Indian citizens. उनके सिक्योरिटी के लिए कुछ था ही नहीं. There was a single entrance for that garden, Wallabagh. It was a garden, and it was having a single door to escape and enter. So what they did, British rulers had blocked that gate, बंद कर दिया, and there were 10,000 people inside the garden, and walls were too huge to escape. And they started. General Dyer had ordered to fire for 10 minutes. The firing was there, and what happened? Many of the people were killed. Thousands of people were killed. Thousands were injured, and thousands were missing. Now this incident has shocked all the nations, whole country. The whole country was shocked with this, and then this happened, the non-cooperation movement. General Dyer was forced to resign, but not arrested. He was just forced to resign from his post, and what happened? He was pardoned for that guilt. उसको छोड़ दिया गया. इसके कारण गांधी जी ने कहा कि ब्रिटिश से हमें इंडिपेंडेंस चाहिए एट एनी कॉस्ट. सो दे स्विच टू नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. व्हाट हैपेंड? सी, to protest against Wallabagh and to impel the British government to grant self-government or Swaraj, Gandhi ji organized non-cooperation movement. गांधी जी ने कहा कि इंडिपेंडेंस तो हमें किसी भी तरह चाहिए, स्वराज. और ब्रिटिश लोगों से इसके खिलाफ हमें बदला लेना है जलियांवाला बाग के लिए. दे स्टार्टेड द नॉन-कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. Non-cooperation means उनसे किसी भी चीज में हमें cooperate नहीं करना है. So they started the Swadeshi movement. So as per the Swadeshi movement, what happened that we have discussed? Only the Indian goods have to be purchased and they have to ban all the goods produced by the British. Gandhi revived Swadeshi as a part of non-cooperation movement. Where shops selling foreign goods were boycotted. उन्हें boycott किया गया है ना. से कुछ भी सामान हमें नहीं लेना है, कुछ भी डीलिंग नहीं करनी है. यूज ऑफ इंडियन हैंडीक्राफ्ट एंड खादी वाज पॉपुलराइज्ड. आप इंडिया की खादी टेक्सटाइल की यूज करो. प्लस हैंडीक्राफ्ट सेक्टर. नॉट हैंडीक्राफ्ट मींस दोज आइटम्स मेड ऑफ द हैंड, नॉट फ्रॉम द मशीन्स. एंड व्हाट हैपेंड? गांधी वाज अरेस्टेड फॉर दिस बट ब्रिटिश वर फोर्स्ड टू discharge. They were forced to relieve him. Now what happened? This incident was so, मतलब वहाँ पे इसका इतना इम्पैक्ट पड़ा चौरी चौरा में that people, Indian people जो थे इसमें revolutionaries, they had set the police station at fire. In 1922 at Chori Chowra, some angry revolutionaries set fire to a police station where 22 people, policemen were killed. And this for this Gandhi ji was arrested. क्योंकि इम्पैक्ट वो नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट किसने स्टार्ट किया था? गांधी जी ने स्टार्ट किया था. अदर्स वर जस्ट फॉलोइंग हिम. तो पूरा का पूरा ब्लेम गांधी जी के ऊपर गया कि ये मूवमेंट के तहत ही चौरी चौरा वाला हादसा हुआ है. सो गांधी जी वॉज अरेस्टेड फॉर दैट. एंड गांधी जी ने ये भी कहा कि चलो अगर नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट ने वायलेंट रूप लिया है, the people have started using the violent method, so this had to be stopped here. उन्होंने वहीं के वहीं वो ऑफ कर दिया नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. एंड ही वाज टू शॉक्ड. उनका ये कहना था कि अगर ये नॉन वायलेंट मेथड से ही हम फॉलो करते थे तो दिस मूवमेंट कुड हैव बीन प्रोवाइडेड अस द सक्सेस इन गेटिंग द इंडिपेंडेंस. नाउ पीपल दोस हैव अंडरस्टूड the British people have understood this thing. Now they had made this law. It was a salt law. As per this law, Indian people were banned to produce the salt. Only they have to purchase the salt produced by the British people. And salt is compulsorily, it is needed only. Okay, it is necessary for us. And that's why we will purchase it at any cost. तो ब्रिटिश ने यही फायदा उठाया कि सॉल्ट के बिना तो खाना खाएगा ही नहीं कोई भी. They had to purchase it. So they have started levying taxes. Unusual taxes they started और taxes बढ़ाने में लगे. So Indians को सॉल्ट खरीदना भी महंगा पड़ता था. For this Gandhi started civil disobedience movement. Now what happened? We have seen the civil disobedience movement was started by Mahatma Gandhi in 1930. With a demand of complete independence or पूर्ण स्वराज. As per the civil independence, civil disobedience movement, गांधी जी को किसकी मांग कर रहे थे? एक तो पूर्ण स्वराज means the complete independence. दूसरा they were going to break the salt law. See what happened? Dandi March. As per the textbook, we are going to understand. So it was an act of civil disobedience movement to protest against the salt tax imposed by the British, prohibiting the Indians from manufacturing and selling salt. Means Indians were banned to produce as well as sell the salt, and they were forced to have it, to purchase it from the British only, and they were levying the taxes also. So Gandhi broke that salt law at Dandi. He started the Dandi March. Okay, from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. and many of the people, thousands of the people followed him. There they reached at Gandhi. They have taken the salt in their palm and brought the salt. They made the salt by evaporating the water from that. Again, there are many things. So let's understand this thing also. So in 1907, the party was split into two groups: the moderates and the extremists. That we have already understood. Moderates were of the motto that non-violence matter, and the extremists were applying the method of protest. Then Lucknow Pact. In 1916, an agreement between the Indian National Congress and the All India Muslim League was signed. This meeting also marked the reunion of the moderates and the extremists. इसके जो पैक्ट ये साइन हुआ था लखनऊ पैक्ट, इसमें extremists and moderates were had to work together. Then Gandhi Pact was signed. It was a political agreement signed on 5th March. अब इसमें क्या होता है between महात्मा गांधी and Lord Irwin, the then Viceroy of India. इंडिया का जो वाइस उस टाइम तो वाइसरॉय थे कौन? Lord Irwin. So he has signed this Gandhi Pact on 5th March 1951. Now what was according this pact that we are going to understand in detail via the video of the extra marks. Khilafat Movement. It was an agitation by the Indian Muslims against the British government to protect and preserve the authority of Ottoman Caliphate. मतलब मुस्लिम्स लोगों के लिए था ये, हमारे टेक्स्ट बुक में तो नहीं है, but this agitation was by the Indian Muslims against the British. Then comes Silent Commission. अभी non-cooperation movement चला गया, civil disobedience movement चला गया. The British now wanted to change something, so they started Silent Commission. So what happened as per this? In 1928, British government appointed a commission under Sir John Salmon to analyze and resolve the law and order situation in कोलकाता. कोलकाता में जो प्रॉब्लम चल रही थी उससे लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का जो सिचुएशन था उसे एनालाइज और रिजॉल्व करने के लिए, उसे रिजोल्यूशन के लिए उन्होंने ब्रिटिश ने किसको एज अ कमिश्नर अपॉइंट किया? सर जॉन सैमन को. ओके, सो एंड अंडर दिस कमीशन नन ऑफ द इंडियंस वर there. And this angered the people and they started protesting, saying, Salmon, go back. Then they resolved this. British tried to resolve this thing with the help of this act. Government of India Act was passed. Now what happened in this act? In this act there was no representation of Indians in the laws for India. So in this the title is Government of India Act, but India का तो कोई person ही नहीं है. There was no representative of Indians in this laws for India. All the powers remained with the British government. सारे के सारे powers अभी भी British government के पास ही थे. This angered the Indians a lot. And what happened? Quit India movement. अब इसमें क्या हुआ था? Quit India movement they had started. अभी तो ब्रिटिश लोगों को किसी भी तरह क्विट करवाना है इंडिया से, निकलवाना ही है. Now people have understood कि यहाँ पे हमें प्रोटेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, वायलेंट मेथड तो यूज करना ही पड़ेगा. And they had started also. आपको पता है सुभाष चंद्र बोस has also played a vital role in this. He went to London and there he formed a huge army. Okay, it was called as Indian National Army, which fought for the independence of India also. Though the war was defeated, मतलब ये तो defeat कर दिया गया, हम Indians were defeated. But what happened when Indian movement was launched in 1942? In protest of sending Indian soldiers on the war front in World War II. Quit India movement का जो कंसेप्ट था वो यहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ। जब 1945 में वर्ल्ड वार 2 हुआ था, सॉरी इन 1939 वर्ल्ड वार 2 हैड स्टार्टेड एंड ब्रिटिश ने कहा था कि इंडियंस विल फाइट, ओके, बट इंडियंस वर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस थिंग। इंडियन से पूछे बिना क्यों इंडिया का नाम लिया गया था? सो इंडियन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स वर एंग्री एंड दे हैड रिजाइन्ड दिस थिंग। उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट के साथ जहाँ पे भी वो गवर्नमेंट जॉब करते थे वो दे हैड रिजाइन। सो व्हाट हैपेंड, अभी जब 1945 में वर्ल्ड वार 2 खत्म हुआ, अभी इंडियन सरकार को निकालना है इंडिया से, ओके। इंडियन सोल्जर्स को क्यों भेजा गया विदाउट आस्किंग द इंडियन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स? दिस वाज द topic of anger, matter for anger, okay. So this led to Quit India movement, and India after that many incidents have also taken places, but Indians were defeated. But British now had realized that अब Indians will not be tolerating us, so they themselves have decided that we have to quit India now, and then Indians got the independence. बट गांधी जी को इंडिपेंडेंस के साथ यूनिटी भी चाहिए थी, यूनिटी ऑफ हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स, बट डिवाइड एंड रूल का जो इम्पैक्ट था उसी के कारण इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान गॉट सेपरेटेड फ्रॉम ईच अदर। अदरवाइज दे वर मर्ज्ड, दे वर अ सिंगल नेशन, बट जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ डिवाइड एंड रूल पॉलिसी प्लेड बाय द ब्रिटिश रूलर्स, India and Pakistan got separated from each other, and Gandhi's dream of united India had been shattered. Now students, here I am going to share a short video clip from the extra marks. So enjoy it.
Be the change you wish to see in the world. So said late Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Revered as the father of the nation, Gandhi ji was extremely instrumental in shaping India's bright future. Using the weapons of truth and non-violence, he led India to its independence. The famous scientist Albert Einstein said, "Generations to come, it may well be, will scarce believe that such a man as this one, ever in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth." This chapter shall focus on the contributions of Mahatma Gandhi to the freedom of India from the British rule. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, popularly known as Mahatma Gandhi, was an eminent leader of British-ruled India. Early life. He was born on 2nd October 1869 in Porbandar, Gujarat. Mahatma Gandhi studied law in London and then went to South Africa to practice law. Gandhi ji fought against the racial discrimination in South Africa by adopting Satyagraha, which was based on the principles of truth and non-violence. He returned to India from South Africa in 1915. Upon his return to India, Gandhi ji travelled extensively and was saddened to see extremely pathetic condition of the poor Indians. He also observed that caste system and untouchability were deep-rooted in the Indian society during those times. In his attempt to abolish untouchability, he gave the name Harijans to the people who were considered to be untouchables. Harijan means people of God. Now let's try the Indian National Congress. The Indian National Congress was founded by A.O. Hume in the year 1885. By 1907, the party had split into two groups, the moderates and the extremists. The moderates were in favor of requesting the British government for administrative reforms, while the extremists supported the strikes and boycotts to register their strong opposition to the British rule in India. The moderates were led by late Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and the extremists were led by late Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Late Lala Lajpat Rai and late Bipin Chandra Pal were other two most prominent extremist leaders of Indian National Congress. The Lucknow Pact of 1916. It was an agreement between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The aim of this pact was to compel the British government to be more liberal towards the Indians and give them more authority and participation in the governance of their country. It also aimed at bringing together the extremists and the moderates, the two groups of the Indian National Congress. Now let's the Rowlatt Act. The Rowlatt Act was passed in March 1919. As per the Act, the British government had the authority to arrest people and keep them in prisons without any trial if they were suspected of being terrorists. Mahatma Gandhi opposed the enactment of Rowlatt Act. He argued that people cannot be arrested and punished on the basis of baseless suspicions. The Wallabagh Massacre. On 13th of April 1919, a public meeting was held at Wallabagh in Amritsar to protest against the arrest of leaders Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu. It was attended by almost 10,000 people. General Reginald Dyer ordered his soldiers to open fire at the crowd. Hundreds of people, including women and children, were killed, and there were about 1,516 reported casualties. The gruesome act shocked the entire nation and was largely condemned and protested against by all Indian leaders. The Khilafat Movement. After the World War I, the authority of the Sultan of Turkey was vastly reduced because many Turkish territories were taken away from him. This angered the Muslims even in India. Therefore, in 1919 they started the Khilafat Movement, which was a political movement to influence the British government. Two prominent names of the movement were Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, famous as Ali Brothers. Mahatma Gandhi convinced the Indian National Congress to join their cause. This was also the beginning of the Hindu-Muslim cooperation in the freedom movement of India. The non-cooperation movement. Jallianwala Bagh incident caused massive anger and dissent all over the country. Gandhiji launched non-cooperation movement in 1920 to protest against the massacre. The movement involved peaceful and firm non-cooperation with the British government. British educational institutions were boycotted by the students and teachers. Gandhiji revived and included Swadeshi as a part of the non-cooperation movement. According to this, shops selling foreign goods were boycotted. Use of Indian handicraft items were encouraged. Use of hand-woven clothes and khadi was popularized. All type of British goods were boycotted. The British government used violence to suppress the movement, yet the non-cooperation movement was a huge success because everyone involved stood firm on their principle of non-violent but firm protest. Some of the famous leaders who participated in the non-cooperation movement were Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Sarojini Naidu, Motilal Nehru, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Test your the Chauri Chaura incident. In 1922, at Chauri Chaura, there were violent clashes between the police and protesters of the non-cooperation movement. Due to this, some angry revolutionaries set fire to a police station in Chauri Chaura. The fire killed about 22 policemen. As a result, the British officials conducted raids in which hundreds of people were arrested. All this violence was against Gandhiji's principles. Therefore, Gandhiji immediately withdrew the non-cooperation movement on February 12, 1922. Simon Commission. To analyze and resolve the law and order situation in India, the British government formed Simon Commission under Sir John Simon. But there were no Indian representatives in the commission. This angered the Indians and they decided to boycott the commission. There were massive protests and the slogans of Simon Go Back resonated in the air. Civil Disobedience Movement. With the growing demand of Purna Swaraj, meaning complete independence, Civil Disobedience Movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi in December 1929, along with some other prominent leaders like Sarojini Naidu, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It started with Dandi March by Gandhiji, in which the salt law was broken. Civil Disobedience Movement. With the growing demand of Purna Swaraj, meaning complete independence, Civil Disobedience Movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi in December 1929, along with some other prominent leaders like Sarojini Naidu, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It started with Dandi March by Gandhiji, in which the salt law was broken. During British rule, as per the salt law, Indians were banned from preparing salt from the sea water. Only the British merchants could prepare and sell salt. To protest against this, Gandhiji launched the Salt Satyagraha on 12th March 1930, which started with Dandi March. It was a non-violent protest in which Gandhiji and his followers covered the distance of 30 kilometers from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi along the sea coast on foot. There they broke the salt law by making salt from the sea water. Gandhi-Irvin Pact. The Gandhi-Irvin Pact was an agreement signed between Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin, the then Viceroy of India, on March 5, 1931. Several demands were put before the British government, but only a few were agreed upon. These were: all the ordinances curbing the activities of Congress were withdrawn. All political prisoners were released barring the ones guilty of violence. Confiscated properties of satyagrahis were returned. Collection and manufacturing of salt by Indian people living near sea coast was allowed. Now let's. In 1935, Government of India Act was passed by the British, but all the powers still remained with the British government. With the beginning of the Second World War in 1939, the British sent the Indian soldiers on the war front. This angered the Indian nationalists as India was brought to war without its consent. In August 1942, the Quit India movement was launched. It was a civil disobedience movement in which Gandhiji called for immediate independence. Do or die was the slogan for Quit India movement. Now let India attains freedom. After the long struggle for freedom, India finally gained independence on August 15, 1947. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of independent India. We gained independence, but the country was divided into India and Pakistan. Muhammad Ali Jinnah became Governor General of Pakistan. Now let's look at the road to independence. 1857, First War of Independence. 1885, Birth of Indian National Congress. 1919, the Wallabagh Massacre. 1920, Non-Cooperation Movement. 1929, Declaration of Purna Swaraj. 1930, the Dandi March. 1942, the Quit India Movement. 1947, India attains freedom. Gandhiji's message: if we are to teach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children. Here are some of the famous quotes by Mahatma Gandhi. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. There is no God other than truth. Strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from an indomitable will. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. On 2nd October, we celebrate Gandhiji's birthday as Gandhi Jayanti. The three monkeys depicting the principles proclaimed by Gandhiji are widely seen. These monkeys depict the message: don't listen to evil, don't speak evil, don't see evil. Thank you. A presentation by extra marks.
So students, here we have come towards the end of today's e-learning session. I hope that you have enjoyed the video and understood the concept of the chapter. Okay, now we will meet in the next session with a new chapter. Till then, bye bye and have a nice day, and thanks for watching the video till the end.